Hello traders, how are we? Welcome to the live stream. Trader Tom here, and we are going to do the following for the next 45 minutes or so. We are going to look at a trade I took yesterday. I haven't taken any trades today. We are looking at one trade, so we'll also look at potential setups as well. There is some news coming out very shortly, which is very big news for the euro. So we're also going to take a look at the news reaction there as well, guys. Okay. Yeah, super big news coming out, right? We got the interest rate decision coming out of the euro, and they're expecting to keep it at 2.15. So we shall see if they actually do that or not. Usually, guys, the interest rate is as expected. And then what really makes it volatile is things said in the policy statement and even this press conference later on. This is super important. This is, if the interest rate is as expected, then this conference, this press conference, is the most important thing. Right, so must be aware of that. And if that's not enough, we've got loads of inflation and employment data coming out of the US. And the data coming out of the US has been very crap. So we'll see if this carries on. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to look at all of this news reaction. And also, most importantly, we are going to take all of your questions. So don't be shy, guys. Come say hello. Leave as many questions as you like about trading. And to be honest, there's not much setting up today. So, yeah, more questions, the better. And it doesn't have to be about a currency pair. We can discuss whatever you like. We can discuss your work, your marriage. I'm only joking. But we can literally discuss anything. Now let's start with a trade that I got stopped out of today, and it's pound yen, right? And let's understand what sometimes when I say let's understand why we got stopped out, the reasons are clear, right? But let's understand why we took the trade. Was it a good trade? Now, we've come up and hit this weekly resistance level. And as you can see, guys, we've pretty much been ranging between these highs through here, okay, and these lows here. And you'll find this a lot. You'll get a range when the following happens, right? You are in a daily uptrend, right? And when that daily uptrend meets good weekly resistance. So as you can see at this level right here, we have good weekly resistance. Now, when that happens, a lot of the time you will get this, right? You will get price. I'm looking at buying Euro Swiss franc, actually. You will get price range, right? It's not going anywhere at the moment, okay? So that's what we're seeing. And I was looking to come from the top of the range back down to the low. And on the H4, you know, everything was breaking down nicely, okay? You know, they have been difficult markets. Like they haven't been following trend and breaking H4 trend a lot, right? So this was no exception, right? We was in this H4 downtrend, okay? We were starting to see nice big bearish candles, right? We started selling. And, you know, I was thinking there was a strong probability that price will come back down to these lows. And as you can see, right, the trade was wrong, okay? We've actually had a structure break with this candle here, and we're now in a H4 uptrend. But look how quickly H4 structure broke, right? We're seeing this a lot in the market. And if you think of my strategy, guys, when H4 is trending and it trends for, you know, a reasonable period of time, chances are we're going to have a lot of good trades, okay? And we only don't have good trades when H4 structure breaks, right? Because that's usually where I have my stop loss. And this was no exception. right? So pound yen sales was an unsuccessful trade. I'm not going to say a bad trade because it ticked a lot of boxes for me. It was an unsuccessful trade. And as I said, guys, the markets have been tricky. September has been a tricky month thus far. And while we're on the subject of pound US dollar, I am interested in, right? Because if you look at the day chart, pound US dollar has practically, I mean, there was this little bit of price action here, but we're basically in a range, right? We're in a range between here and here. All right, so again, if we're in a range, I will also look at the weekly chart, and you can see that the weekly chart is in a downtrend, right? So if we're in a weekly downtrend and the daily is ranging, okay, it's a good idea for us. We can take sells from here back down to these lows here, right? And that's exactly what I'm looking at. The only thing is, firstly, we have big US data coming out, right, very shortly, and we don't have a H4 structure break yet. I thought this candle earlier on was going to break these lows, but it didn't. It actually held on to these lows. So we haven't yet had a H4 structure break, right? We're still holding on to these lows. So we'll see, you know, again, if we start breaking these lows now and we get a big bearish candle off the back of the inflation and employment data, then I will be looking for sells, right? Maybe retraces into here and then we look to come lower. So yeah, that's what we are looking at, but that's pretty much it, guys, right? There are no other setups for me. I was looking at Aussie dollar, Canadian dollar buys, but if you can see on the H4, there's just no value, right? There's no value up here. I want to retrace into at least here, right? So that's not setting up. I was also looking at New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc buys. And okay, we might get something here. I just want a bit more of a retrace, and then we can potentially look for buys. So that's pretty much everything. I'm also looking at euro pound sales actually. So we're getting quite a nice, let's remove this, right? We're getting quite a nice reaction here. Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on euro pound sales. We'll come back to that a bit later because we've got big euro news coming out. What else did I want to tell you? So that's it, guys. So let's get some questions in today, and it can be anything to do with trading. There's not much going on with the charts. We've got some big news coming out, so you know we're sort of sitting on our hands a bit anyway. So yeah, like I say, guys, please leave as many questions as you like. Right, let's see who is in the house. There was something else I wanted to tell you. I cannot remember. Premier League football is back this weekend. Thank God. I always get a little bit lost when we don't have Premier League football. And the weather in Dubai is slowly getting less like an oven. I love it when the summer is over in Dubai because from, you know, let's say October through to about April, you know, the weather's lovely. But during the summer, it's brutal. Hence, I buggered off to the Philippines for a few weeks. Yeah, but there you go, guys. Right, let's see who's in the house. Jolma, how are you, Jolma? Good to have you here as usual. Luigi, the most Italian man in the world, how are you? Mike, how are you? Mike, was you in that pound yen sell as well? There was a few of us in that pound yen sell. But yeah, an unsuccessful trade. It was a good setup, right? But the trade didn't work out. Findile, am I pronouncing that right? Findile, hello. Mark, how are you? Mark Spain, I believe. Yeah, how are you, Mark? Welcome back. Good to have you back. Fapello, how are you? Niraj, how are you? Coprod, how the devil are you, mate? When's the news? The news is in 4 minutes. and then we got more news at 1/2 So hold on to your hats. Dr. K Psychology. Daniel Renoya, why do you trade CFDs rather than futures? I trade Forex spot markets. Now, there's not much. I have traded futures, but Forex is just something that I resonated with and ended up getting some consistency with. So that's the real reason, really. I know there's not a lot of difference between CFDs and futures, but yeah, I trade spot Forex. Dr. Psychology, I'm kind of new to this. Okay, well, welcome. You're lot of guys are here to learn. M23, hi Tom, Arsenal fan here. M, I will not hold it against you. That is also my brother's team. I remember was it 1989 when Michael Thomas scored at Anfield to make it 2-1 and Liverpool lost the league on the last game of the season to Arsenal, and I've never been, and me and my brother, let's just say we didn't see eye to eye that night. Massa, what would be impacts of CPI on gold? I'll answer that very shortly. Steen, hi Tom and all. First time live. Normally I enjoy it in the evening. Steen, welcome. Good to have you live. So we've got a few questions coming in here. Now, we have this debate a lot on our channel, right? Let's just look at the euro pair, guys, because we do have the interest rate coming out shortly, and we will play guess the news game. Now, what would be impacts of CPI on gold, right? So to me, it doesn't matter, right? You have news coming out, right? We have CPI news coming out, and typically a worse than expected result would be bearish for the economy, right? As in the indices. If we got worse inflation, right, it would be, and employment. This goes for any news, not just CPI. But if we got worse than expected news, generally speaking, this would be bad for the indices, right? And if indices are dropping, then gold is a flight to safety and gold would become stronger, right? So that is how CPI can affect gold. And secondly, if we get bad US dollar data, not all the time, but sometimes it's going to affect the dollar, right? The currency negatively. And gold is against the dollar. So if we get US dollar weakness, we get some bad news, then gold will become stronger as well. So that's generally how it's going to work, but it doesn't matter, right? News comes out, the market's going to do what it wants to do, right? Maybe it goes up, maybe it goes down. We don't care. We wait for the market to settle, right? And then we see if we have a setup, right? Are we with daily trend? Are we with H4 trend? Are we getting a setup? And that is all that matters, right? We don't know how this is going to impact anything right now. We only know once it comes out and we see the reaction, right? Anyone who says CPI is going to make gold do this, or CPI is going to make oil do this, or dollar do this, just has no idea, right? What we do know is there's a lot of bad data coming out of the US, right? So will this carry on? But let's look at euro first, right? We've got euro coming out in 20 seconds, the interest rate decision. Okay, Mark, that's a fair point. I'll take a look at that in a second, Mark, as well. We just got 10 seconds for the news to come out. What other questions do we have here? Okay, all right, we'll take a look at those. Okay, so I mean, typically the interest rate is as expected. The deposit facility rate is as expected, right? And just look at the news. It's all as expected, right? Let's go to the news. And as you can see, everything is as expected, right? It typically is when it comes to interest rates, right? You have all the central banks, the Fed, they always talk about their interest rate, right? Because that's their biggest tool for cooling the economy down or heating it up, really. And so typically, what is forecasted is usually pretty accurate, right? And again, it's accurate, right? So the interest rate come out as expected. Now, like I say, guys, not much will happen, but what will be really important is this press conference in 30 minutes, because then, the head of the ECB starts talking about, projections, forecasts, and that's really when you're going to start seeing some movement in the euro. Let's go back to the euro. Okay, a little bit of US dollar strength, if anything. Euro yen. Okay, a little bit of. Is that yen strength or euro weakness? Okay, we are seeing some euro weakness now. Again, that might be what is said in here, the monetary policy statement. That takes a little while to digest, right? But yeah, we're starting to see some euro. Okay, so some, real euro weakness. Let's have a look at euro US dollar. Okay, so people, maybe it's because they didn't decrease the interest rates, right? There's lots of talk about decreasing rates. So this is maybe why we're seeing a bit of weakness in the euro. But anyway, guys, we'll let the news settle, let the markets digest it, and then we'll see if we have a setup. Now, interestingly, euro yen is potentially a trade, right? So let's see, we've still got 40 minutes until this candle finishes, but I think euro yen is in a very interesting area for selling. All right, so let's see. But again, I'm not going to do anything, guys, until after the press conference. Right, we've got a question here from Mark. I've just got to laugh at this. Steen, enjoy you in the evening. Sounds like a proposal. I'll enjoy you in the evening. Oh, much obliged. Anyway, Mark, I'm always nervous when we approach the opening of the Asian session. Do you mean the Asian session or the New York session? Almost to the point of getting out of the trade to protect my position. Any thoughts? Yes, there is a lot, any open, right? The Asian Open, the London Open, and now, very shortly we're going to have the New York Open. Now, there is a lot of volatility coming to the market, and none more so than the New York Open. That it goes, New York Open is most volatile, as in most volume comes into the market, then the London Open, then the Asian Open. So I would be least worried about the Asian Open and more worried about the New York Open when it comes to me being in a trade. But, what are you going to do? You can't, if you're with daily direction and you're with H4 trend and your stop loss is in a good position, you should be able to handle a little bit of volatility. I know it can be a little frustrating when you see your trade in profit, right? So you're getting to like London lunchtime, your trade's nicely in profit, you're thinking, I'm the world's best trader. And then the New York Open happens and you quickly go into, negative, into drawdown with your trade. And you're like, what's happened? And it's basically the New York Open. But the volatility in the New York Open would have to go some to break H4 structure, right? It would have to do a lot to break H4 structure. Now, news that comes out, like the interest rate decision or CPI later, of course, this can break structure. But just the market open itself, I would say, would not very often break H4 structure, unless you're literally at the edge of H4 structure. But yeah, I understand what you're saying, but you know, take some profit before the New York Open happens. I wouldn't suggest that, because what can also happen is you're nicely in profit, the New York opens, and then it just flies off and hits your target. That can also happen. So just stick to your setup, put your stop loss in the right place, and you can handle any open, right? You know, and that, but that's considering that I'm trading the H4. Now, if I was scalping the 15-minute chart, I probably wouldn't be in a trade at the open, right? Because there would be enough volatility to break M15 structure, right? But I wouldn't worry so much if I'm trading H4 as my entry time frame. So Mark, I hope that helps. Okay, Canadian dollar, Swiss franc. Wissy, we was talking about this yesterday. Let's take a look at it again. Canadian dollar, Swiss franc. Now on the H4, right, it's kind of holding this level through here. So this is going to be the deciding level for me, right? Now H4 is my entry time frame. If we get a big bearish reaction at this level, right, I would suggest Canadian dollar, Swiss franc has more room to the downside. Okay. But if we get a bullish candle break through this level, then I would suggest we have a bullish trade, and I think price can make its way back up to this level. But that's on the H4, because this level would be a very good selling level on the daily. So let me show you the daily. You know, once price, or if price makes it up to here, right, then this is going to be a very nice level for selling, potentially, right? We want to see how price reacts at this level. And just to feed into the buying Canadian dollar, Swiss franc, yeah, we've got very bullish candles. And the fact that this candle, the body broke the high of that one, suggests to me we have room to the upside. All right. But for me to take that trade, yeah, we would need to see a break of this level that just keeps holding. All right. So, yeah, let's see. Let's see what happens at that level. Potential buys back up to here, or big bearish reaction, potential sells down to here. I will let the market tell me. You know, like I say, Wissy, I don't have any I don't start each trading day and think, oh, I want to sell Canadian dollar, Swiss franc, right? I let the facts on the chart tell me what I can and can't do. Right. And Canadian dollar, Swiss franc for me is a no trade. I'm not interested in this trade today. And yesterday it was a successful trade, and it was an indicator trade. Okay. So, yeah, there you go. Syed, hi, how are you? Welcome to the live stream. Hope you are well. Guys, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, guys, please smash the like button and also smash the notification button so you're aware of when all our vids come out. Also, guys, please don't forget to check out the things above my head. So please go check out the website, www.simply-forex.com. If you want access to all of our premium trading education, including the course, including the mentorship program, including the price action pro indicator, which we're very proud of, and including the VIP Trading Academy. Also, guys, please don't forget to come join our trading community. Come join our free Discord. It is free, so why not come join it? You can speak to we've got some very good traders in there, and they're sharing ideas and knowledge. So why not come and collect that? And finally, guys, today's live stream is brought to you by Pepperstone, a world-class broker. And if you swap brokers and sign up with them today using our link, we will give you free VIP Academy access, and we'll give you a free TradingView Essential subscription. What are you waiting for? Check it all out. Right. What other questions we got coming in? Okay, Mohammed, we've got a question here. If you are a swing trader holding trades for more than a day, how should you manage high impact news? So good question, Mohammed. Right now, two things. Right now, with my style of trading, right, I'm intraday. Okay, so I can be in and out of a trade typically within a day, maybe a couple of days, right? Rarely longer. Okay, so fundamental news is not as important to me, right? However, I will find myself in a trade still, right, that I entered yesterday, and I'm still in the trade today, and there's big news coming out, right? But for swing traders, let me explain what I do, right? So if I'm in a trade and news is coming out, okay, and we have, right, we've got news in 3 minutes, thank you. And I'm in a trade. Let's say I'm slightly in profit, right? Then I have some options, okay? Let's just do a quick trade, right? Let's say I'm in a trade here. Right, let's say I've been selling from here, right? And I'm looking to take profit down here. Right, let's say this is a trade that I'm in, right? I got in over here, started selling, my stop losses here and my targets here. You can see I haven't hit target, right? Now, it's Canadian dollar, Swiss franc. Let's say we've got Canadian dollar interest rate decision coming out, okay? Now, your options are this. So firstly, you can move your stop loss to break even, right? Because news, high impact news, it can go there, it can go here, right? And you wouldn't want to be stopped out unnecessarily just on the back of news, right? So one idea is you just move your stop loss to break even, and you either get taken out at break even or you make a nice profit, right? Good scenario. The second scenario is this, right? Because we're quite close to price, right? You can take 50% profit here, right? And then whatever level this is, right? You can move your stop loss to the same level, right? So you move your stop loss down to here. That also makes it a break-even trade. You've taken 50% profit while you're in profit. You've also allowed the trade a little bit more room to breathe, because your stop loss, you can now afford to put your stop loss here, okay? And whether price does this or price does this, it doesn't matter. You've either got a break-even trade or a nicely profitable trade, right? So there's two ideas with what to do with news when you're in profit, right? Now, let's imagine this scenario. We're going to look at 4 scenarios, right? News in 3 minutes. Let's imagine now price. Let's imagine price is here, right? And you're slightly negative, right? You're in a little bit of drawdown. Again, it's a very a personal decision, this, right? Because it's a gamble. And to be honest with you, I would just take a small loss. Whatever that is, that would be like 0.2%. I would just take that loss, right? Because I don't want price to come up here and me take a 1% loss, okay? And then the final scenario is price is up here when news comes out. At this point, you've got nothing to lose, right? Nothing to lose, yeah? Just stay in the trade. If it does that, fine. If it does that, happy days. Right, we have news coming out. So yeah, I hope that helps, Mohammed. That's a good question. There's also a tutorial on this in the VIP Trading Academy, so go check it out. I won't look at Euro US dollar. Let's look at pound US dollar for the news coming out. Okay, US dollar strength. US dollar weakness. There you go. Welcome to news trading. Right, that really doesn't know what to do with itself. Okay, so US dollar weakness is what we're seeing at the moment. Right, lots of US dollar weakness. This is suggesting there is more bad news coming out. Let's have a look at US dollar yen. Right, yen is dropping like a stone. Let's move this down. Right, really bad news for the US dollar. Right, whatever it is, it's bad news for the US dollar. Let's have a look at Aussie dollar, US dollar. Yes, so I will put my Sherlock Holmes deer hunter hat. We learned that the other week. And I'm going to say the news was worse than expected. Let's have a look. There you, okay, a mixed bag, right? But Powell did say he's putting a lot of emphasis on employment. And that is a very big miss. Right, look, 236, 235, okay, that's nothing, but 263, that is a big miss, right? Now, this is better than expected, and this is better than expected, but yeah, you can't help but think the employment figures are overriding what's happening at the moment. So a bit of a mixed bag, really. Let's go back, but yeah, US dollar weakness is definitely US dollar weakness. Let's have a look see what's happening to the indices. Let's have a look at the NASDAQ. So the NASDAQ has seen that as bullish. Now, if someone, in their right mind can please explain how terrible employment news, right, which Powell has already explained would potentially lead to a decrease in interest rates, okay, then that explains it. So perhaps the market's seeing this as bullish because Powell said if the employment data keeps becoming crap, which it is, he will cut interest rates, and ultimately that is bullish for the indices. So maybe that's what we're seeing. But again, I don't trade like that. Yeah, I'm just going to wait for the news to settle and see where we are. Let's have a look at pound, because we were looking at pound US dollar, right? Yeah, doesn't look like there's going to be a trade there for today. Yeah, let's have a look at euro pound. I was looking at euro pound, but again, we've got interest. We've got the press conference, so we couldn't enter this even if we wanted to, guys. Let's have a look at New Zealand Swiss franc. Okay, so this might be giving us a potential setup, right? Because if you look at the daily, guys, on New Zealand dollar Swiss franc, we have broken, right? Price come up. Price has broken these highs in here, right? We've got a nice big bullish candle. Excuse me. We've got a nice bullish candle with New Zealand dollar Swiss franc. And we even broke this level, right? Only just. So New Zealand Swiss, why did my chart just move? New Zealand Swiss franc is potentially a good buy trade. Now, if we drop down to the H4, that news quickly pushed price down, right? Which is what we wanted. We wanted a deeper retrace. And now if this H4 candle ends up looking something like this, right? I think we potentially have a good buy trade on our hands. So New Zealand Swiss franc is setting up for a potential buy trade. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on that at 5 p.m. when the H4 candle finishes. Right, Canadian dollar Swiss franc is dropping lovely. Okay, let's have a look at Canadian dollar Swiss franc. Okay, so yeah, it was all about that level, right? This level in here. And we're seeing a bearish reaction. I know a few of the guys are selling this. So yeah, I hope it comes down for you guys. Potentially, if you're in a H4 downtrend, right, potentially price wants to make its way back down to the bottom before it starts finding some buying power. So yeah, we'll see, guys. Right, what else are we looking at? Okay, so Wissy's got a question here. What is the best broker for Forex trading you suggest, and to depend on it? So I really like Axie. Okay, I really like Axie and I really like Pepperstone. I think they both have very good spreads, very good commissions, and just good customer support. And yeah, they're just very good brokers. So yeah, I would choose Axie or Pepperstone. And there are reason they're our preferred brokers, right? So yeah, if you're interested in it, guys, use our links to sign up with these brokers and we will give you free stuff, right? Because it's a win-win, right? The broker gets a client, we get a little bit of commission, so we can give you something for free, right? You know, just being very transparent. There's no, there's no secrets here, right? They get a client, they're happy, they give us a little bit of commission, we're happy, we can give you something for free, you're happy, right? It's a win-win for everyone, so come check out our preferred brokers. Right, what else are we looking at? I'm sure there's another question up here. So CPI, there you go. So CPI, let's go back to this question and have a look at the news reaction. So CPI, as we know, was better than expected, right? So let's have a look at exactly what that meant for gold. Now, CPI was better than expected, and we saw bullish indices. Okay, the thing here is, right, before we even look at gold, this is what you need to know, right? So euro US dollar, let's look at this. We know US dollar has been weak. Okay, you look at any US dollar pair, pound US dollar, right? The US dollar is weak, and gold, right, is against the US dollar, right? So if US dollar is weak, gold should be doing this, right? But we also saw the indices, right? Let's just check one more time, right? We also saw the indices. Okay, so that's been quite bearish for the indices, right? So a bearish for the indices is bullish for gold. So gold should be flying upwards. Let's have a look. Gold is flying upwards, but it's just the same as any US dollar pair at this point, right? And also it is at a good level of support through there, right? But you can see here on the H4, we've started to make lower highs, right? You know, things were looking a little bit bearish for gold. If you look at the day chart as well, I remember one of the guys in the free Discord, they were considering selling gold off the back of this bearish candle. I don't disagree with that idea, but for that to happen, I want to see this H4 structure break through here, right? And because of that bearish US dollar, we're not seeing that. US dollar is so weak. So there's your answer, right? A positive CPI has seen a push up in gold. Right, what other questions do we have, amigos? Don't be shy, ask as many questions as you like. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, smash the notification button, and smash the like button. I'll tell you a conversation I was having today, and that is about the rat race, right? I just started thinking, because we get no questions, guys, so I thought we'd just talk about this. Now, if I go out, right, I drop my daughter off, right, and I try and do it after rush hour, right? So it doesn't matter when I do it, really, and then I can pick her up later. But I drop my daughter off and then come back, right? But when I drop my daughter off, just the anger and the panic and the people rushing to work to do something they don't want to do is just mental. Like, everyone's angry, everyone's in a rush, nobody's got time for anything, everyone looks totally, just empty, just rushed off their feet. And I used to do that, right? I used to do that all every week, all day, every week, right? And I'm so glad that I don't have to do that anymore. I'm so glad that I found something that allows me not to do that. And can I just say, you should all be looking for something like that. You know, it may not be trading, right? It might be starting a cleaning company. It might be, you know, I want to train as a psychologist, whatever it is. You know, don't keep doing shit you don't like just for money. Have less money and keep your expenses lower. You don't need a brand new car. You don't need brand new shoes all the time. You don't need the latest Gucci handbag, right? Not that I have a Gucci handbag. I was talking about my missus there. So yeah, you know, please do something you want to do and enjoy. Don't do shit just for money. It's soul destroying. Yeah, what else did I want to say about the rat race while I'm at it? Yeah, you have to do something. You know, you only get one crack at this life. You know, now, and I know, you know, people have responsibilities, right? They might have a mortgage, they might have a couple of kids, you know, and everything's expensive, right? But it's always going to be that way, right? So you have to find a way to do something you want to do. Otherwise, you'll be working for a company that you just hate for the rest of your life. This was a little conversation I was having with my friend literally the other day, and I just felt it this morning when I dropped off my daughter. I was like, Jesus Christ, what is just manic? And the amount of people just tooting each other, right? You know, it's hot at the moment. Everyone's hot, in a rush. Everyone was just like, beep, beep. You know, I was like, relax. So there you go. I just wanted to share that. Daniel feels exactly the same. I feel exactly the same about the rat race. I was a surgeon and the stress nearly killed me. Trading has saved my life in so many ways. You've gone out of the fire and into the frying pan, Daniel, because, you know, trading can be stressful, right? Especially if you're not consistent and you're trying to find something, you know, it can be psychologically tough. Right. So, yeah, I used to be a surgeon. Okay, nice. And, you know, and crazily enough, look, people think, right? People think, oh, a surgeon, I bet he gets paid loads of money. I bet he loves his job. He's helping people, you know, and you think of Doctor Strange, right? You think, oh, he's driving around in, you know, Lamborghini doing open brain surgery, right? But Daniel was a surgeon and he had enough of it. Right? You know, you always think the grass is greener, but one thing that is for sure is you cannot keep doing a job that you hate just for money. Yeah, you can't. You'll be the most unfulfilled person alive. Jane, hi Jane, how are you? A little bit late, Jane, but better late than never. I always have to say, you Jane, me Tarzan. Always have to get that little joke in. Let's have a look at just have a look at US dollar pairs. Let's have a look at pound US dollar. Okay, so that US dollar weakness has been relieved a little bit. Let's have a look at euro US dollar. Yeah, okay, so not that US dollar strength, not that US dollar weakness we were seeing. And it's a great advertisement for not jumping in a trade. Right, you know, you're probably thinking, oh, this is all bullish, right? I'm going to start buying here. We're coming up to here. The news was bullish, and then you get a candle like that, and you're thinking, oh, why did I jump in just after news? Yeah, so don't do that, guys. Guys, I would like to thank you very much for your time today. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Tell your trader friends about us. Also, come join our free community and check out the website. I'll release a weekly forecast video over the weekend, guys, so check that out. And then we're back on the daily streams as from Tuesday. All right, so come join us for all of that, guys. Muchas gracias. Adios, amigos.